A warm welcome on today's Golden Muse show on GoldenMuseTV platform with a wonderful guest that is all about living life to the full and embracing new ways of living through nutritional lifestyle and believing in yourself that you can have a better life. I'd love to welcome Gabriela Lerner. Hello, Gabriela.
Hello, ChriSOULa. I'm really, really delighted to be on your show. This is exciting, and I'm delighted that we've connected. So thanks very much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming along and stepping up and sharing your message, because this is what this space is all about, you know, and it's the space for all of you change makers, including myself, light workers and believers in having a better life with ease and flow, to share it and express it from your heart. So that's what I'm holding space for.
Great. Lovely. Thank you.
So first of all, I'd like to share with you how I actually connected with Gabriela. And as you know, I love reading and I love researching and exploring. As a life explorer I am. So I've been a subscriber to Psychologies magazine for many, many years now. Actually, I found out about Psychologies magazine when I was living in France, if you believe it, you know, like goes more than 20 years ago. So, and the latest issue had a fantastic article, absolutely amazing spread on Gabriela's. It's called My Life, My Way. And then it's all about Gabriela and her business and her wonderful retreats and passion in vegan raw food. But also it shares a lot about Gabriela's journey. So if you like to read and you like reading, go and get, this is the magazine here. That's the latest, I believe it's the January or February, February 2019. Okay. So when I connected with the article, I said, "Oh my goodness, you know, this lady has got a lot of guts. That's the kind of thing." But I felt really rich. I felt the enrichment, you know, inside that you're coming across somebody that you went through a lot. You know, you have experienced a lot, and what we've got in common is actually the chronic pain, and that's something I don't speak about it a lot, because I am trying to figure out and navigate through it, you know, through different holistic modalities. But until recently, I didn't know that I am also suffering from an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's disease. I only found out because I persevered to really go deep and find out what caused all this pain, this constant pain I've been experiencing physically. And of course, that has an impact on your emotional well-being and your mental well-being, not being able to sleep and so on. Yeah. So those of you that you are chronic pain sufferers, and then for different reasons, Gabriela, you're going to share with us your journey and how you actually, what, you know, strategies you develop. How did you go about to really concentrate on what is really important to you? And find the vitality, bring the vitality back into your life, because chronic pain really, really puts your energy down, your energy levels really down. However optimistic and positive and joyous you want to be, you know, if you're always, you know, in pain, it's not. So take us through, because I know you were suffering from fibromyalgia, to put it correctly. So where are you now? Are you still suffering with it? Your changes in your lifestyle have actually...
I don't suffer.
You don't?
Period.
Good.
I have pains sometimes. And so I'm not a pain-free person. I don't think something like that exists in this world. I'm 61 years old. So there's also, you know, all sorts of things. The joints are a bit creaky and all of that. But I tend to not suffer. And I think that's a really important point, because I did suffer for 18 years. And the suffering got worse, even though I found some relief to the pain, which is interesting. So I actually, just to kind of see if I can tell this story quite briefly, but let me go back. So I had suffered from from my early 20s actually, with various types of chronic pain. All through my life, you know, I had trigeminous pains, I had joint pains at times, I had migraines. I mean, it's like different things manifested at different times, but it kind of ran a bit through. And I was always into natural healing methods, alternative healing methods. I was not a great fan of doctors. So I always looked for ways to help myself and my children and my family with homeopathy and, you know, you name it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I, through this, I worked with a nutritionist, and she recommended some blood tests, and it was discovered that I have an extremely low white blood cell count. So low that the doctors had all alarm bells ring.
Wow.
And they, so they put me in touch with the hematology department, and I was, for probably a year or maybe even longer, I went to regular blood tests, and they just couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They could see that I had a very low blood cell count and that I should just have infections, but I didn't have infections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I was in pain.
Right.
And I got more and more and more in pain. And eventually a doctor, so I was researching and I came across ME. I thought I maybe have ME because that seemed like possibly the thing. And then I joined the ME Association. They sent me a newsletter. It said many people are misdiagnosed and they actually have fibromyalgia. And so eventually my hematologist said to me, you know what, we've done everything. We tested everything. You don't seem to have a problem with the fact that you have a low white blood cell count, but I'm concerned about it. So let's do a bone marrow test.
Okay.
And they took bone marrow, and it was one of the most painful things I have experienced in my life. And I went to bed and I didn't get up anymore. So I went from being in pain to being completely floored. And I was just in bed. And I actually spent almost 18 months, 5 out of 7 days in bed.
Wow.
I often couldn't speak. My whole nervous system was affected. I couldn't speak. I couldn't walk. I couldn't look after my children. I was extremely unwell.
Yes.
And we thought I was dying, actually, you know. I remember my husband saying to me, I don't want to lose you, you know, what can we do? And then eventually the hematologist said to me, I don't know what we can do with you, but I would like to refer you to a rheumatologist. And to cut a long story short, I went to a rheumatologist and they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And it was a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
It was both, because the blessing was, I now know what's wrong with me. So now I can target what I do, rather just be in this unknown sense of, I don't know what's wrong with me, right? So I then worked with a rheumatologist. They give you amitriptyline, antidepressants that help with the pain. But I just didn't want those. So I kept looking for natural ways of helping myself. And I did. So I clawed my life back to a degree. And I actually have to say that every single alternative method I tried, and you know, that could be herbalism, Alexander technique, acupuncture, homeopathy, nutrition, diet, you name it, I did it. I got to the point when people said, oh, have you tried this? Where I thought, oh, go away, I've tried everything, you know.
Oh, dear.
And all of it helped to a degree.
Yes.
And I was able to get back to a place where I was able to work, but my life was still very limited. So there was hardly any social life because I didn't have energy left. Like you said earlier, you know, when we are in chronic pain, it takes so much of our energy to deal with the pain, to function, that there's often not much left for enjoying life and having fun and hanging out with friends and being on the telephone to somebody for half an hour, giving an interview. I mean, all those things I just didn't do. And when my husband was diagnosed with cancer, everything changed. So up until this point, 2011, when he was diagnosed with cancer, I was suffering with fibromyalgia. I found ways of relief, but I didn't find a way of breaking out of this being a fibromyalgia patient.
You still felt trapped in that.
I felt trapped in that identity, actually. So I would filter everything. People would say to me, "Do you want to come for a picnic?" And I would think, well, if I go to the picnic and the ground is cold, then I'm going to be in pain for 2 weeks. So no, not going to the picnic. So everything.
I get it.
Yeah. So everything was filtered in that.
You overanalyze things, and you say, okay, if I do that extreme, whatever, although to the people's eyes is not extreme, but to you it is, because you know what you're going to, the consequence.
That's right.
Would be. Yeah.
And like you say, a lot of people don't even know. I woke up with
that's the other difficult thing. Yeah.
And nobody ever even knew. I mean, other than my closest friends, didn't know that I was in pain when they were talking to me. And sometimes people would come and want to hug me, and it was like, ooh, all painful. So anyway, he got diagnosed with cancer, and it was a completely different story, because you don't die from fibromyalgia, you're just in misery. But you can die from cancer. So
this is where the wake-up call was for you.
This was where the wake-up call was for him. And it caused me to completely reassess what I was doing.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Yeah. And the interesting thing was, the real key point, and this is what I now teach in my coaching and in my programs and my retreats, what I work with clients with, is that all the 18 years that I had fibromyalgia, I was looking for ways to solve the problem. And when my husband said to me, I want to heal, I didn't even really understand what that meant initially. And I resisted it too. I thought, well, what do you want? You're 57 years old or 58 years old. What do you need a prostate for? Let's just take the thing out. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Just get rid of the cancer. And he said, no. I'm really fond of my prostate. I don't want to get rid of it. And I want to heal. And that's what I want. I want to be healthy. And it took me a few months to get my head around this. But once I got it, I became his ally. I really was like, wow, you want to heal? If you can heal, I could heal.
Then you gave permission to yourself as well.
And suddenly we kind of started to look at everything, ChriSOULa, and we literally looked at every single aspect of our lives, our work, the way we had our relationship worked, the products we put onto our body, the products we used every day in the house to clean. I mean, we were already quite an eco-friendly house, but there was so much that we still found that was unacceptable all of a sudden. The number of painkillers I took. No.
I know. I do empathize with what you're saying here, Gabriela. I totally do. But what I like to focus on is, what is the actual, if you like, the cause behind all of this, which is, for people, it is the buzzword. It has been for quite a long time now. Stress, isn't it? So the stress behind that caused your fibromyalgia, or what was it that you believe that actually was the cause behind it?
Well, I think that's a difficult question to answer, and it might be different for different people. Yeah. I think stress plays a big part, and particularly with pain and chronic illness, I think that a lot has to do with perhaps the single one word is stress, but stress is, can be emotional, physical stress. It can be both, or a combination of both. Emotional stress, psychological stress. Looking back, I know that having fibromyalgia was a way out for me. It was a way to have an escape from the moments when I thought I couldn't cope. So here's an interesting thing. After I cured myself, a lot of people sent their friends to me and said, my friend has fibromyalgia, can you talk to them? You know, because they could maybe... And when I started working with people, I realized that we are attached to our conditions, and that actually sometimes the idea of being completely 100% healthy is scary. Because when we're completely 100% healthy and full of energy, we have to show up.
Yes.
No excuses anymore for living the life we want to live.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's scary. It was scary for me too. I mean, I had times, I always said, oh, I wish I didn't have this. I wish I didn't have this. But then when I imagined myself not having it, then suddenly there was this pressure of, oh, then I really have to do life.
Yeah. So what is the excuse now then?
None. There's no excuse, but there's no need for excuse.
There's
because
no need for
when
excuse.
you make the mental shift, once you make the mental shift, you know that it's completely up to you. There's no more stress because there's nobody you have to please other than you do what you want to do. And we made a promise to each other as a couple where we said, when one of us or we both get to a place where we feel stressed, we will stop and we will sit down and we will say, what do we need to do differently?
Yeah. So basically, this is what I love about bringing more awareness, is becoming more conscious, becoming more switched on with what's happening in the present moment, and really appreciate, what's happening in my body, my physical sort of, signs, because the body always communicates with you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do I react or respond to what my partner said or what a colleague said, or so you can have more conscious relationships with our loved ones, with our children, whoever.
Yes, exactly.
And becoming more mindful, actually, how we express ourselves and how our thought processing can affect our actual well-being.
Yes,
because it can
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly how I deal now with my pain. So if I mean, I don't have anywhere near the pain I used to have, but I've just at the moment having a bit of trouble with my sciatic nerve, and I wake up in the morning after a night's sleep and I feel stiff and achy and, twingy and all those feelings. And I work with that mentally. I haven't taken a painkiller since 2012.
Wow.
And I used to be on 8-10 painkillers a day.
Wow.
So I just stopped all painkillers because I wanted to know whether what I'm doing works, so I just became my own guinea pig, and I just said, I'm going to stop all medication. I stopped my fibromyalgia medication, my pain medication, and I just changed my life. And I haven't taken painkillers since. I sometimes work with essential oils to kind of help me with a bit of pain if there is some. But mostly I work with the mind. So I lie in bed and I literally visualize. I accept the pain. I don't push it away. And I internalize well-being, and I inform the painful cells to communicate with the non-painful cells.
Yes.
And that takes practice. And it's not that easy to do. You need to be incredibly disciplined. But we know now that people have not just healed themselves of pain, but have restructured
their cellular memory,
and and have dissolved tumors and have got rid of autoimmune. We're not stuck with it. We're never stuck with it.
No. Unless you say that this is it. This is my reality, and you accept it. But surrender, accept it not in a way that, yes, this is what I've got, this is what's happening to me, but not, losing your power over it.
That's right. Surrender isn't about giving up power.
No.
Surrender is just being in the present moment and saying, this is what I have, this is what's going on right now. This is not me. It's not my identity. It's just what goes on in my body.
Yeah, it's a part of me. It is something that is going on, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and that's fascinating and exciting, and I love sharing that with others, and I love experimenting myself with it. You see, when we cut ourselves, I mean, I recently cut off the tip of my little finger. We trust that if we put a Band-Aid on, that it will heal. And it does. And if you ever do that and you really pay attention and watch your body do its miraculous healing thing, and you then say to yourself, if it can do that, it can do it anywhere in my body. But we are standing in the way of this. Our brain just gets in the way, and it says, oh, well, I can heal a finger, but I can't heal a tumor, or I can't heal this, that, or the other. There I need to give my power to somebody else. And it's not doctors. There's nothing wrong with doctors. We sometimes need them. If I chopped off my finger, I would have definitely gone to hospital to have some work done on it. It's not doctors. We can do the same thing with alternative medicine. We hand over the power to the homeopaths, to the massage therapist, and we want them to fix it. But it isn't about fixing. It's about creating health and wellness within ourselves.
And more specifically, because I know you are very much passionate about that, creating wholeness. Bring yourself back to wholeness.
Yes.
So when pain comes up, or whatever symptom, physical symptom, or mental symptom, it could be any kind of sign, it means that something in our system is not whole.
That's right. Yeah, that's often a message. It's a message from the body that says, pay attention, be aware. But
so
of course,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
How did you bring that wholeness back to you, and how did you bring that holistic sort of way of being? Because you introduced that you change your lifestyle, apart from you're doing yoga, you're doing meditation, but also something that you're very, very disciplined and systematic about it and very committed to it is what you eat and what So tell me a little about, because that was a big chapter for you. It wasn't a big change for you and for your family.
It was actually the biggest change, and it triggered all other changes. So Neil had identified that raw food would be the best diet for him to help him heal from cancer.
Right.
And we were kind of, as far as I was concerned, eating healthily, grass-fed organic meat and raw organic milk and, lovely vegetables and all of that. I felt we were eating quite well. So when he said we cut out all of the animal products and we go vegan, and not just vegan, but also mostly raw vegan, it was a shock to me. I just thought, he's gone completely crazy now. It's like, we can't do that. I can't live on that. I need my protein, like many of us think. But I did just indulge him, and I just said, okay, let's give it a go. And I actually was symptom-free 6 months, within 6 months of going completely 100% raw food. And the thing that I know now from my own experience, and also from just the studying I've done and the trainings I've done, is that every food contains energy, just like we are energy, just like your colors on your shelf are energy, right?
Yes, they are.
So
yes,
food has energy, and the highest energy is in something that you pick fresh off a branch. So imagine in the UK in the autumn when the blackberries are ripe, and you go and you pick this really succulent berry and you pop it in your mouth, and it's like, bursts in your mouth, and it's full of energy and enzymes and nutrients, and that's kind of like your highest level of energy you can achieve. And then it just degrades gradually down to cooked food, to processed food, And of course to animal foods, because animals embody the cruelty of the industry. They carry that energy, you know, and we internalize that by eating it. So I was starting to look at, always looking for the food that would give me the highest energy, because I know if I had high energy, pain would go away, because I wouldn't spend all that little energy that I had on just dealing with the pain. And so we changed to raw food, and then something miraculous happens, which is that as you eat only this really clean and organic and fresh food, your eyes open to all sorts of things. You know, you just become more aware, you become more sensitive to things, you notice things. So my spiritual journey started with raw food, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, wonderful to hear your journey, Gabriela, but also your determination to go through and explore different avenues, and then finally to say yes to indulging your husband's, you know, wishes or ways of, you know, moving forward, really. So it's great that how you two, I mean, I know that you work with also couple, right? You also, that's something you do, that you're hosting lots of retreats as well.
Yeah.
But this is something that for a change to happen, I also believe you need to have that support, that supporting environment in your life. So
makes it easier, for sure.
Makes it easier, absolutely. So and particularly when you have an issue with chronic pain, and however much you want to empathize with somebody else, you don't really know what's going on in them. Or if they got like the wake up call, oh, I've got cancer and I really want to heal. And you say, okay, what am I going? Either you say, oh, you know, you stay put and you just show resistance, and you say, no, I'm not going to change, I don't believe in anything else. Or you swap and you say yes to an alternative.
Yes.
And that's what you did, and that's how you did it with your husband.
Yes.
And it is remarkable. It is remarkable.
Yeah.
And that's what you teach. That's what you teach now, isn't it?
It is, yes. And I really teach people the lifestyle. So I don't teach people a way of getting rid of fibromyalgia or chronic pain, or because it doesn't matter what it is. I teach people a lifestyle where they can live fully from their heart, in truth with their real self, right? And I think for me, it's harder if the partner doesn't join in with this. And frankly, I mean, I do know why that is, but often I can't understand that, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, the first thing I would recommend to a couple where there is such discrepancy, like I want to do this lifestyle and I want to do this lifestyle, I would say, come together and explain to each other without conflict, without argument, without trying to defend yourself, but with honesty from your heart, why you want to choose this path. Because that is what Neil did with me. When I got to a point 3 months into his diagnosis where I just thought, I'm going crazy. This man is obsessed with healing his cancer. I don't understand, and I don't know how to support him. And I resisted the change.
Yeah.
And then I said, I one day just said, we need to talk. You know, what's going on here? What do you want? And he explained it to me. And then I said, how can I help you? And then he explained that to me. So if you have a relationship of two people and one has a health issue, and that one person with a health issue decides to go a certain path, wouldn't you expect that loving partner to support them in that?
Yeah.
But it often isn't the case, you know, but it isn't the case because the other partner doesn't understand. They just think, oh, she or he is crazy. They're just having a kind of, it's a fad, you know, and because there hasn't been the communication to really clarify why that one person wants to go down that path. So to me, his cancer was my salvation.
Yes.
Because I would have never changed anything about my lifestyle if I hadn't been triggered by his desire to be well, and my willingness to hear him and then decide to support him. And by supporting him, I healed myself. That was like a side effect.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And I was not, like I said, I spent a lot of time in bed. I was often very ill. I couldn't travel on my own. I needed him by my side in order to travel. I now travel all over the world. I run retreats in Tobago and Portugal on my own, 7 days. Last year, I had 18 public talks that I gave all across the UK. I could have never done that before.
Amazing.
And I'm well, I'm well.
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling better at 61 than I did when I was 35. So.
And then, we can have, that's what I'm a firm believer, Gabriela, that we can have a wonderful life, full of vitality and positivity and prosperity at whatever age in our lives. And
yes.
Sometimes people think, I'm getting older now, I've got to give up on having more energy or doing more things, or I'm getting older. No, you can actually have a wonderful life at your old age too.
Yes. Yeah, well, you can, and you can also, I think it's important to remember that you can also have it within the context of your circumstances.
Mm.
So, because sometimes people say, yeah, but you've only had fibromyalgia, but I'm in a wheelchair. And, we can create that abundance even with our physical disabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's there might be certain things that we have physically that cannot be, or that we are not having the mental ability to cure. Or whatever, but within that we can create wellness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important to know.
And what we the thing that also I mentioned in my book, the Book of SoulfulMusings, is actually whatever you feed your mind, your heart, your body, your spirit, that makes you feel more alive, but also gives you that clarity. Because confusion stagnation, this is what really stops us from being really free and flow with life.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Oh, well, what an incredible story. Thank you so much, Gabriela. And it's amazing, and looking forward to connecting with you in real life at some point.
Yes, I hope so too.
Maybe you can come over up here in our lovely Cheshire, and then we can create a possibility for you to talk and create more of that, ripple effect of what our diet and our mindset can help us with in our lives. Yeah.
I have met so many wonderful people in my life since I've changed that I feel incredibly blessed. I've lost a few as well as a result of change. People who couldn't cope with the change, with all that positivity. I can't cope with that. But I've made so many wonderful friends, and you're one of my new friends. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting to know you better, and follow you and get your book and read your musings. That's very exciting. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being you and bringing your light into the world. And thank you for all of you also who has been watching, and hope that you have received some wake-up calls, insights, aha moments from our Soulful Musings with my guest today, Gabriela Lerner. Lots of love from me, ChriSOULa, the Golden Muse, and from my guest today, Gabriela.
Thank you.